Well, hello once again, my friends, my fellow modelers, and my fellow lovers of the R.M.S. Titanic. I got the latest shipment from AGORA Models on the 1/200 scale build the beautiful R.M.S. Titanic, and we're already up to shipment number 20. This shipment has issues number 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, and 122. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and we'll check out everything that's included in shipment number 20. All right, we got that beautiful box from AGORA Models. Let's just take the tape off. All right, let's see what we got. AGORA Models. We got the packing material. So we've got 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, and lastly 122. So I'm going to put these in order, and then we're going to take a look at the magazines. All right. So let's start. We're going to check out magazine issue number 117. You can see that beautiful picture of the finished model on the cover. When we open it up, you can see the Titanic, the ship legend, and you can see what's coming up. We got the Giant of the Sea, Edwardian era, and the instructions, and you can see what's coming up in the next issue. So this is an absolutely gorgeous picture. This is the R.M.S. Mauritania. Look at that beautiful photo. Since the middle of the 19th century, Cunard ships have played an important role in every major British conflict. This is Mauritania in her dazzle camouflage during World War I. The Cunard liner was used as a troop ship. Absolutely beautiful. The soldiers of the U.S. Army 77th Infantry Division photographed during their return trip home aboard the Aquitania after serving in Europe during World War I. And what's this lovely lady? This is the German passenger ship Cab Trafalgar, was converted into an armed merchant cruiser during World War I. It was sunk by Carmania in September of 1914. Let me see if I can adjust the lighting just a bit. These are workers in the Cunard Shell Works in 1917. The trench warfare of World War I required large supplies of artillery shells. Cunard's civilian mechanical workshops in Bootle were given over to manufacture of these munitions. The image of the Franz Joseph, Emperor of Australia, second from the left, and Umberto I, the King of Italy, second from the right. Let's see what this is now. The signatures at the foot of the Triple Alliance Australian Foreign Ministry, Gustav Kalnacki, the German ambassador Heinrich von Roos, and the Italian ambassador Carlo de Robilant. This is a postcard celebrating the triple entity, showing from left to right the French President Raymond Poincaré, and I'm sure I apologize for destroying that name, the British sovereign King George V, and the Russian Tsar Nicholas II. Let's see, this is the Russian poster from 1914. The figures represent the countries in a triple entity, left to right, Mariana, Mother Russia, and Britannia. Right to it, and look, we got a circuit board. Love it. So we got the printed circuit board, and we've got 7 of the PM screws and 1 spare. And you can see what it's going to look like and where it's eventually going to go. So we're going to put that in the bottom of the hull. You can see how it's going to go down. We're going to put it and screw it into place with AM screws. And you can see the completed work. Nice. And that was issue number 117. So let's go over to 118 now. And we've got the same thing. You open it up, you see the contents. Giant of the Sea, and I love those. Life on board and the step-by-step instructions, and it shows you what's coming up. The engine room deckhead and the uprights. And look at this beautiful lady. Let's see, who is this now? This is the SS Justitia with the gray livery, adopted during World War I. In July of 1918, the White Star troop ship Justitia was torpedoed by German U-boats during an epic battle that ended in disaster. Look at that ship. Oh, here's a beautiful, is that Lusitania? Wait a minute, let's see. This is the launch of the Standendam in 1914. At the time, it was owned by Holland America Lines. Before its name was changed to the Justitia, and eventually operated by the White Star Line. Isn't that beautiful? She almost has that like Lusitania, Mauritania kind of look to the back. This is done by British artist William Lionel Willey, 1851 through 1931. Depicts the epic battle to save Justitia in July of 1918 after it was torpedoed by U-64 and U-21. We move over to Life on Board. This is Seasickness and Sea Legs. In this late 19th century caricature by a British cartoonist, George Cruikshank, several passengers clearly gripped by seasickness hold on to the side of the ship. Here's a beautiful picture. And again, this light. To take precautions to avoid suffering excessively from seasickness during a voyage. And we're introduced to the Allen Line in Canada. Promenading or sitting in comfortable deck chairs in the open air could help alleviate symptoms of seasickness during sea crossings. Yep, that is. Okay, now we go into the instructions, and look at now. We're going to put the engine room in. Oh, I love it. You can see the plates that it's going to go in. We get the forward bulkhead and the aft bulkhead, and the upright where the engine room is going to go. That's going to be held in place with NP screws. And look at that. We're going to put the other bulkhead on just in front of the turbine, and that's going to be held in place with AP screws, and you can see the finished work where we're going to actually be able to look into the engine room. Ah, beautiful. And that was number 118. So going over to 119 now. So again, we got the Giant of the Sea we've got the Edwardian era and the instructions, and you can see the bow cross support bracket, panels and screws coming up in the next issue. Okay, looking over this beautiful picture, Cunard Line's Scythia held the record for the longest serving transatlantic liner of the 20th century until the 2000s. Wow. When the record was beaten by the Queen Elizabeth II, this postcard shows the ship at Pierhead, Liverpool in the 1930s. Although not as large or well known as other liners in the Cunard fleet, the Scythia served the company for a record-breaking 37 years. That's amazing. I love learning about new ships. You got another picture. Look at that. The postcard showing Scythia in a photograph taken sometime between 1920 and 1930. Look at that. She's beautiful. The sovereign of Afghanistan, with his wife Soraya, played a crucial role in the political and social modernization of his country, which also led to its independence from British connoisseurs. And this is 13 years after the World's Fair. The poster promoting the Brussels International Exposition, which was held in the city from 23rd of April to November 1st of 1910. And the King and Queen of Belgium, Albert I and Elizabeth, visiting the exposition. And then you can see a map showing the exposition's different pavilions and various attractions. You got a lot of pictures here. Spectacular entrance to the exposition. The view of the zone dedicated to the colonies. A scenic train. The process of putting out a fire that destroyed several structures in August. And this is a postcard, a moire. In the pavilion, the scene depicts monks from the 18th century pressing grapes and was chosen to suggest the origins of champagne production. That's interesting. And look, we go over into the build. So we've got the engine room deck head. And look at that. You can see that's going to go over the top of the bulkheads. Be held in place with the pins. This is going to be so much fun. And look at, we actually can see the engine room now, the turbines, the reciprocating engine. This would be on the port side. This is great. And that was 119. So none of these issues are going to be terribly difficult, but it's really going to start to bring everything together. Okay, we move on to 120 now. And looking at the contents, you can see A Date with Destiny and the instructions. And what's coming up? The aft mast. Wow. The docking bridge, the deck wheel adhesive strips, the aft pedestal wheel, the telegraphs, telephone compass, extension cable, and screws. So this is Arthur Rastron, captain of the Carpathia. Dubbed a hero following his part in a Titanic rescue operation, Rastron continued to serve with great honor until his retirement in 1931. This is the Captain Rastron, fifth from the left, and officers of Carpathia posing with a silver cup that was given to them by survivors of the Titanic disaster as a sign of their eternal gratitude. And this is the smoking room on board the R.M.S. Alonia from 1913. Beautiful. Speaking of which, the Alonia was launched on June 9th of 1913 and completed its maiden voyage on December 27th of 1913. When World War I broke out, the ship was requisitioned by the Royal Navy and used as a troop ship. Look at that. Alonia prepares to leave the port of Alessandria with troops and equipment for the landing in Gallipoli. And look at that. Look at Mauritania. In dazzle camouflage. This is from December 2nd of 1918. The great ship was carrying 3,500 American soldiers home from their first overseas. Look at that. That's beautiful. This is the Mauritania as she reaches the port of New York with returning troops at the end of World War I in 1918. This as a token of thanks and recognition. The efforts that were made to save survivors of Titanic, Captain Arthur Henry Rostron was awarded the American Congressional Gold Medal, which was presented to him by United States President William Howard Taft. All right, so now we go right into the build instructions. And look, you can see the bow cross support. This is going to go on. The front means we're getting closer to actually putting the bow on. You remember in earlier videos when we were constructing the hull, we actually put these on. That's going to be held in place with AM screws. And you can see how they're going to go. We're starting to build up everything where we're going to be able to rest the upper decks on. And they're going to be held in AM screws with this bracket. You can see how that's going to go into place. Let's see, is that going to go in? Yep. So you can see it's going to go onto the brackets. And we're going to hold them in place with AM screws. And you can see the completed work now. Awesome. And that was issue 120. So going on to issue number 121 now. Let's see what we got. Great, I love the Giant of the Sea, and we got the instructions. And looks like another decking. The decking aft well deck with an LED strip. And look at this beautiful ship. This is White Star Line's SS Vedic, photographed in 1920s after World War I. The ship was mainly used for transportation of immigrants, initially from Europe to Canada, and later to Australia. Beautiful. For those people immigrating in search of work, hopefully a better life, living conditions on board ship were often terrible. And upon arrival to their port of destination, immigrants were subject to medical checks. They had shared cramped accommodation and poor quality food on board ship, and infections would spread rapidly. Now we go right to the instructions and look at, we got the docking bridge and the aft mast. I love it. So we're going to put the deck, the wood decking into the the docking bridge. Look at the little wheel. It's going to go on that little piece. It's going to go into place. And then we're going to surround it with these different pieces. I love it. Now we're going back to the boat deck. And you can see how we're going to put the cable in. That would be J3. See on the bottom where it's going to go. And we go to the promenade deck now, and that's actually where the mast is going to go. And we're actually going to screw the mast into place with an IM screw. And staying with the promenade deck, you can see the lighting strips that are in. And we're going to pass the cable up through the bottom. And then this part is going to go into channel J1. You can see where the staircase, the grand staircase will be. J1, and we pass it through the bottom of the deck. And then one of the fun parts is we get to test the lighting. I love it when we do that. Is that taping them in place? Apply the 4 adhesive strips. That'll keep the wires in place. And look at the completed work. Those 3 decks, plus the docking platform. Beautiful. That's section issue number 121. And lastly, we've got issue number 122. We've got a date with destiny, step-by-step instructions, and you can see coming in the next shipment, we've got the stern crossbeam plate, the bracket and the screws. So this photograph is from the mid-1800s. Mass immigration from Ireland to North America was driven by harsh conditions in which the Irish population lived. That's a beautiful picture. That almost could be a screensaver. A district in Western Ireland facing the Atlantic Ocean. Despite its beauty and famous black-faced sheep, life was hard for the families who lived there in the 1800s. In fact, many people immigrated to North America in search of a better life. And we know this picture. This is one of Titanic's lifeboats carrying survivors in a sinking to safety. This photograph was taken from a rescue ship, Carpathia, and that's quite the famous photo. Now we go to the build, and we're going to do the aft well deck and the main deck assembly. You can see the pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the promenade deck, and we're going to put it onto the bridge deck. You can see how we're going to put it on. When you're happy with the fit of the promenade deck to the bridge deck, identify the 13 screw holes. And I can understand now why we'd had to put the mast on first, because it's got to be screwed from underneath. And then you can see where all the adhesive strips are going to go to keep the wires secure. And we're going to pass the leads through the bottom of the promenade deck. Bridge deck. Position the boat deck next to the promenade bridge deck assembly and pass the ends of the cable through. And you can see the bridge deck. Fit the boat deck on top of the promenade deck. Take particular care to align the sides and the corners correctly. This is awesome. You can see it's going to be guided by the little pin. When the decks are affixed together, check the lights are operating correctly, and that's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait to do this. Now you can see we're going to take the wooden deck, and it is a peel and stick adhesive, but we're going to glue it like we've been doing. And we're going to test the lights. And then the light strip is going to go into the deck. You can see where it's going to lock into place. And look at the completed work. That's going to be a great picture because that'll have the lights of the two decks plus the smokestack lights. So that was issue number 122. So we got a pack of screws, and these appear to be the AM screws. And we got the circuit board. You can see where it's going to be powered. I believe that's going to go down to the bottom of the ship. And look at that. It's going to go into place. Now we're going to move on to 118. And let's see. We got AP screws and NP screws. And let's see what this is. And this is one of the bulkheads. And what else we got in here? Is that it? Yep, I think this is the other bulkhead. Or actually, no, this is going to form the L shape. The bulkheads that are going to close in the engine room. And that was everything in 118. All right, moving on to 119 now. See what we got in here. Looks like we got a couple more. Yeah, those pins that we're going to need. And let's see. And look at, we got the plate that's going to support the back. You can see where the well deck is going to go. This is actually really cool. They're nice and solid. And that's everything in this shipment. Or this stage. All right, moving on to 120. We've got AM screws. And what do we got in here? We've got the metal, the bracket. It's going to go across the hull. That's actually going to form the section that's going to support the bow section, or the forecastle. And lastly, I think these are the side bracket mounts. On to issue number 121 now. And right off the bat, you can see the connection cable. Let's see. These feel like really small pieces. These are the little pieces that are going to go on the docking platform. I'm going to be very careful not to lose these. These are tiny. All right, we got packets of screws now. We've got IM screws. Screws. And lastly, we've got, let's see, what are these? These are the AP screws. Let's see, we got the envelope. Let's see what's in here. So this is the docking platform. This is going to go onto the poop deck, and then all the little pieces are going to go on there, and we got the deck, the decking. It looks like we've got the mast. And is this? So the mast is metal. Nice. Look at that. 1/200 scale aft mast for the R.M.S. Titanic. Look, you can see the ladder on it. Absolutely. That was the latest shipment from AGORA Models on build the beautiful R.M.S. Titanic. The ship, the legend. This contained issues number 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, and 122. So, like I usually do, I show you guys everything that comes in a shipment. I've done this going all the way back to shipment number 1. And the next video, we're going to put it all together and we'll do the build part of this section of this shipment. So my friends, thank you so much for watching, and look for the build video that'll be coming up very soon. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.